Before we jump in, I want to give a quick shout out to Global Shop Solutions and Dusty Alexander. They're not sponsoring this episode, but they are the reason conversations like this happen. I spend a lot of time working inside Global Shop environments, and I respect what Dusty and his team have built for manufacturers. Today's conversation is with Tom Hilaris from ErgoSeal in Carroll Stream, Illinois. Tom talks about how he uses data to make better decisions and how he sees Global Shop as a true partner in continuous improvement and where he hopes to take that data next, including using AI on top of ERP to get even better insights. If you care about running a smarter manufacturing business, this episode is worth your time. Well, Tom, I am so happy that you're able to be with me here today at the studio in Aurora. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of different subjects. The first one I want to talk about a little bit is AI. I was really excited to hear that you've been thinking, you told me for 3 years already about how that's going to work for your business. So maybe you could start us off telling us a little bit about your company.
Sure.
You're the owner of a manufacturing company here locally, and what you're thinking AI should do for you, and where you're finding some of the hurdles right now as far as actually getting from the promise of AI to the reality of where you are today, and how do you get there? So that's kind of where I'd like you to start, maybe just a little bit of an introduction. So Tom Hilaris, am I saying it right?
Yes, you are perfect. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
And it's ErgoSeal.
It is.
Okay.
You got it. Yeah. Thank you for having me here today. Of course, it's exciting to be able to share where my journey is with AI in the organization over the last 3 years, as you've mentioned. So for ErgoSeal ourselves, we design, manufacture different type of dynamic rotary seals for different industries, industrial applications, aerospace. So we like to say we keep basements dry and airplanes in the sky. That's our little saying internally. We've been designing and manufacturing product since 1989. We started out in a little place in Addison and have now are in Carroll Stream for the last 20 years and continue to expand our manufacturing capabilities and the products that we offer and the industries that we serve.
Very good.
Yeah, so now what we've been doing from an AI perspective is it intrigued me very early on. You start seeing what kind of AI, what the capabilities are and what they were 3 years ago, 4 years ago when ChatGPT started coming out, and you're intrigued by it as an owner and the CEO, and what can you do as an organization to help improve operations, or can it be revenue generating for the organization? Can you help your people do a job better, quicker, with some more support? And how to utilize that to scale? So we started looking at it early on, and it wasn't easy. We had to do a lot of, first we knew we had to get some of our Microsoft ecosystem onto the cloud, but also at the same time, we were getting ready to get CMMC certified for government work. So then you're mixing this IT compliance with cybersecurity compliance, and where does AI fit into this? And it was really new, so we've delayed it until recently. We put a really big push, to the next level of AI in the company, and we've identified it as how do we implement agents in the organization to support our process teams.
Agents. Now,
Yes.
already you're speaking a term that I think a lot of people are not familiar with. Like what is an agent? And are people even thinking about agents today?
You might be asking the wrong guy for that specifically.
If you
It
don't
might
know,
be an AI expert.
tell me your
Sure.
concept of that, because
Yeah.
you use that word. So when you think of agents, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking of a program that's tied to multiple areas of your business. So let's say I have a function of order fulfillment. I have a process team now that we've created. We've become more process teams in our company this past year instead of just functional groups. So I have an order fulfillment team from the order intake to purchasing to manufacturing to assembly. There's a whole team that is part of the order fulfillment. But there's different functions still within that process. So maybe an agent can come in at different phases, right, as you implement them, and we can query something. Hey, tie it into the ERP system, and in my query, let me backtrack. An order comes in, and it's still human done. We have to inspect the order, make sure everything's correct, to do a contract review, implement it into our ERP system. Now it flows into that data of ERP. When's it due? What product? What's the pricing? And then you have components that you have to purchase, other ones that you have to manufacture. And those go into different functional groups, right? You might have your planner looking at the manufacturing product, your buyer has to look at the supply chain to make sure we can fulfill the customer demand. And now an agent might be maybe one person, like at order entry or inside sales, enters an order. And as soon as you enter into the ERP system, an agent might be like, hey, you can't fulfill this because it's already looked at your data. It's already looked at your manufacturing capacity. It's already looked at your planning. It knows your supply chain and how these specific vendors have been able to meet their delivery times. You're right. So that's how an agent might look at.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a lot of inputs that go into making a promise to a customer and being able to deliver that. It's not magic, but there's a lot of different inputs.
Correct.
And you're hoping that this agent, and it's a realistic expectation, is going to take into account all of these different inputs that are needed to come up with the right decision to say, hey, can we make it? Can we deliver it on time? And is the costing right?
Exactly.
I mean, those are the three things at the end of the day we need our systems to do.
Right.
So, and in order to do that, you need the right data connected in for the agent to access that data. Have you run into any problems with how you're going to get to that data?
That's where they're in the investigative phase right now, because we do a lot of government work. How does the ERP system work? How is the agent and these data lakes or data architecture of AI around the organization? Because when you implement AI, you can, but from our perspective, we want it to be enterprise-wide. We want it to be a long-term play, and it has to be added into your internal data of ERP, maybe Microsoft ecosystems and whatnot. So we're looking right now at the structure and how do you maintain the data integrity, right? So these agents it's secure on the information that it's tapping into, and then across the different software integrations that you might be utilizing as a company.
Yeah, so that's quite a few different places we need to pull data from, and you need to keep it all secure. Have you heard any concerns from customers, from the government even, as far as data security? Are any of these standards, have you had discussions around security with anyone?
We've definitely had discussions about security. We're looking at right now, because we're very in the infant stage of AI implementation. So that's one of the first phases is looking at the security of the data. So it has to be CMMC compliant. Now we're investigating and we're reaching out to some of the government agencies to see what that actually looks like and what the requirement is. So does your ERP data, is it, on premise, and how is that controlled from CMMC standpoint? And then if we move our ERP system to the cloud, is that, does that meet the requirements of CMMC? And then how can you add something around it?
Just educate me a little bit. When you say CMMC, what are you referring to?
It's these acronyms in the government and aerospace. I'd have to pull that up to know the exact definition, but it's cybersecurity maturity model certificate.
That's pretty good guess there.
Something like that. So don't quote me.
But when you quote a government job, this is one of those checkboxes that you need to be able to say you're compliant with, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, they're starting. The government is, especially in defense. And in some aerospace or companies, they're looking at this. Do you have this because it's security for your data and specific information that they don't want to go outside the organization, right? So it's better controlled cybersecurity measures. And I'm also learning more and more about it. So I've stepped back into that role as a CEO to learn more about it. But yeah, we are CMMC. We have our compliance, but this is new, right?
Right.
The AI stuff and the data architecture that that might sit in another server or something else, like that's new and we're learning it. And before we implement anything, we have to make sure that we're in total compliance of any of these requirements.
It's funny when you're talking about CMMC, of course, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
My first thought that I go to is, boy, I want to upload that whole document with all those probably like, I don't know, hundreds of pages of fine print in it that I don't understand, right?
The policies that they have.
I want to like upload it to chat and say, how can I be compliant with this?
Yeah.
Like, that's like the first thing that I went to in my brain.
Yeah.
And it almost makes me laugh to think, I wonder if it's going to be more generous, even if in its answers, if it would try to make you think you could be more compliant just because it wants you to use it. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's a good take on it.
It's just, I think that we're truly at a tipping point. And what do we even trust coming out of the system right now?
Exactly.
I've really come to question reality so much more now that I'm seeing AI in all the content that I'm reading online everywhere. And I'm at the point now where I don't even hardly know what's real anymore.
We see a lot of that, right? Don't we, as a society? So we have to be very careful. It's a new technology. And for us internally as an organization, it has to, you have to prevent any of these hallucinations that we hear about, right? With your own data. So how do you implement AI into your organization that your information is not hallucinating? It's not giving back your employees incorrect information that you're supplying to a customer, right? So that's really critical. That's something that, we have to investigate and, work through.
Have you identified, well, let's say not even identified, what is your process for even finding a partner to help you create this secure data lake and put this together in agents?
That's been difficult because it's so new in the industry, right? So it's a lot of Googling. It's a lot of reaching out to people who maybe have done any sort of implementation on this from manufacturers, right? Or anybody else. I'm in a Vistage group. We've talked a little bit about it in Vistage, but it's been really difficult. So I've reached out to companies I found maybe through like the TMA, the Technology Manufacturing Association. There's another that was recommended by me from our VP of sales. So I've been talking to these companies, and honestly, a lot of it because I'm new to it and I don't understand what it takes.
Yeah.
You have to utilize AI to help you understand that. So,
Exactly.
hey, ChatGPT.
What does this even mean?
Yeah, I would like to implement this. What are the phases and what are the steps that I need to worry about? So there's a lot of that, right? That's how I like to utilize any of AI is as a thought partner. So you bounce ideas off of it, and it may make sense, it may not, but you have to at least get a basic understanding of it, and then you ask the questions, and you need these partners to be able to say yes, this is correct, or no, this is what we should be doing first in phases.
Yeah.
So you're looking for that partner who is fully integrated, who understands that from the data architecture at the onset, and how do you make a scalable system in an organization.
Right.
And we need someone to help us support that.
So you're actually currently looking for someone right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're in the process of finding a partner.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, hopefully this conversation will help you to maybe even identify some new potential partners in this conversation. It's going to be tough because we're not going to have the history of how long have they been doing this? It's not like ERP where we have partners, they've been 30 years in the business. We assume they know something because they've been doing manufacturing. They have references, but it's almost like you're going to probably end up taking a risk, essentially, on someone because you're going to be at the forefront of this kind of an implementation. You're going to give something a try. And there's going to be, I think, a reiteration of this. And, you're going to have to pick a partner that, you like working with, that you trust, because you certainly can't even begin to understand it.
Right. You're in it for the long term. It's a long-term partnership at this point.
And you're looking for that right partner.
Right.
So much like the early days of ERP.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly like that.
And in that transition, and this is that next layer. There's debates even how much this will replace ERP at some point. I don't know. But it certainly is an exciting time to be in your position of running a company and being able to make your company be at the cutting edge of this kind of technology.
Yeah, we're excited about it, but it is definitely like the time when we found an ERP system and went through the whole process. So, yeah,
Well,
that's
this
where we're
is
now.
actually a good point to transition our conversation a little bit to ERP. So tell me a little bit about when you first got involved with ERP, became aware of that and what it was going to do for your organization.
Sure.
Roll back the scroll a
Oh,
few years back and maybe start me at the beginning of your involvement in an ERP selection process in the early days.
yeah. So the early days for me, it's not that long ago, but it was 15 years ago. So maybe around 2010, 2009, we were utilizing QuickBooks at the time, right? And that had its, challenges from when you have an organization, manufacturing company. Okay, Global Shop was set up as a financial system, which was great. You can do all your reporting, but then you want
You
to
mean QuickBooks?
Sorry, what did I say?
You said Global Shop.
Yeah, I meant QuickBooks.
Yeah,
Sorry.
QuickBooks
Yeah.
was set up for financial, right?
Correct. Yeah, completely for financial. Then they branched off, and then you'd have like wholesale and retail and all these manufacturing add-ons, right, that you could do for QuickBooks. We were utilizing that for quite a long time. But then we realized that we have all these other systems. We have our manufacturing, we have our BOMs, our bill of materials, multiple children and parent levels, multi-level BOMs, as we call them. And it didn't quite have the control that we were looking for, especially with the shop and what are true costs associated with it. And we started looking at ERP systems. And that was the challenge. That was my first thing I did as a general manager. Yes, yeah. So that was a big challenge of mine that I put on myself to be able to do, to take us to the next level of this, having a company-wide organization and really the visibility from getting a purchase order all the way to getting the cash on hand and everything in between, right?
So you realized that you were lacking a lot of visibility on your floor.
That's
at
what it
this
was.
point.
It was the visibility.
So you would have to basically manage by walking around.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have maybe a whiteboard. You write your orders on there, and it wasn't ideal, right? If you want to scale and you want to grow the organization, you have to set up, operationally first before you try to grow, or else you'll really quickly grow out of those systems and you won't be able to meet the customer requirements, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we have to do. And if you want to grow and you have more opportunities, your operations has to be able to meet that. And I knew that it would be better to implement the ERP system early in our growth phase. But it came with challenges.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. So tell me a little bit about the selection process, how you went about finding an ERP and selecting it ultimately.
Sure. It was honestly asking a lot of our peers what they were utilizing, Googling, even at that time, right, 2010. I played back, and it feels like it's black and white, but even though it wasn't. So that's what it feels like that long ago to be able to do this as we embarked on this. But really, it was Google. I reached out to a bunch of ERP systems, really small ones that were just really startups, and other ones that have been around for quite a while. And yeah, we made our selection at one point because we thought it was good for long-term opportunity.
Okay. Do you remember what any of those were that you were looking at back in the day?
Oh, I looked at one was like Omega Cube. That was a smaller one. I don't know if they're around. Global Shop Solutions, what we're currently using and what we chose at the time. There was another one that was way too big, and they were more in plastics. Plexus, maybe?
Yes.
This is 15 years ago. Plex?
It's still around.
It is. Okay, there you go.
Yep, Plex.
So if I remember correctly, those were the three main ones that we looked at.
Yeah. And when they came in did they come in and do demos for you, or how
we did some demos. Exactly. We did some demos. Yeah, that's what it was. It was looking at demos and price points, right? We're a much smaller company at the time. So what can we utilize early on and then grow into the ERP system? So we weren't going to utilize 90% of the ERP, right, at onset.
Okay.
We knew we were smaller, so how do we piecemeal it and what's cost effective but has a long-term opportunity for us to grow into and utilize more of the functions? And
How do you grow into ERP though? I mean, it seems like it's just like it's involved in every part of your business, right? I mean, today it is. Back then, what were you thinking that you would be able to do that now, if you looked back at former Tom, you would say, no, that wasn't the way to go?
honestly, I think we did it the right way. I do.
Okay.
We piecemealed it. We went slowly.
What did you piecemeal first? How did you start?
I remember going live. I think it was like October 1st. And it was beginning of a quarter. We wanted to make sure of that for some reason.
You remember this probably better than your anniversary,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, seriously. It was a little chaotic, but your data mapping and all that stuff. But really it was, again, the visibility of your products, how much do you have in inventory that's very clear. Our routers, we were calling them process sheets before, and then we had to change our
your
lingo.
language.
Our
Yeah.
language and adopt the way of Global Shop. So we call them routers, and how do you implement that? And before they were Word docs that you have to take out, and now you were able to implement that in a system, and have visibility of your routers and update them with controls, better controls, right? And your products and your revisions as you make changes in your components or top level. So that's how we started off, and really also sales perspective and tying the sales orders to a product, tying that then in a holistic system, right, to a router, and having that control and visibility that we didn't have prior. Setting up reorder points from a supply chain or purchasing standpoint, and how do we set up reorder points so we're not having these long blankets. And as demand changes, we didn't have that. You had to do it manually before, right? You'd be like, oh yeah, I think that's gonna be really busy. Oh yeah, let me look out there 2 months, then do a manual, adjustment.
I mean, when you
So that
think
was
about it now,
difficult.
it just sounds like it would be so incredibly difficult to do this manually. Like we
Yeah.
couldn't even begin to do all of that
Seriously.
manually, right?
Right, yeah. It was like before phones, how did we do things before?
How did
Cell
we do
phones?
things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How did I do that?
Exactly. That's what it feels like. I go back, I'm like, oh wow. And now you're making me think about it. I'm having PTSD, but
PTSD, yeah. It was hard.
Yes.
That's what it was,
Oh, yeah.
right? Before you had those things in the
yeah.
system
Yeah, exactly.
to look at.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember, think back to the change management part of the business. How did your employees respond to bringing in a new system? Was it difficult to change how you were doing things so drastically? It was a pretty big change.
It's a huge change, right? Huge change. I think most welcomed it, honestly. And you also do it in phases. So where do you get the buy-in first? How do we talk it through? You really have to, when there's change management, right? You have to show them what the vision is going to be, right? And how do we fit in on that? And how what they're doing is so critical to the organization and what it means to the organization. And I think there was really good buy-in, honestly. It's not easy, and we're still always implementing new parts to that ERP system. Every quarter, we're trying to make an improvement to it, even today. And there's
It's not a static thing, is it?
Never. Because the ERP system improves as well, right? So they're
Yes.
always putting new things out there. You have to stay on top of it. How do you get better? And you know this, there's multiple checklists and options in the back end.
Yes, there is.
And so, you have to have the continuous dialogue with the team and be like, guys, don't worry. If it doesn't work or if something's not working for you, let's discuss it. And then let's go back to our ERP, partner and be like, hey, does this work? And a lot of times like, oh, it's just one check mark, that we have to do. Okay, perfect. So it's a continuous dialogue all the time of what's working, what's not working.
Seems like the only questions that are bad questions are the questions that aren't asked.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, I totally agree to that. You have to speak up
Yes.
when there's a problem
Yes.
in your process or somewhere that you're frustrated, and just speak up, because then let's try to solve it.
Yeah, I definitely see people suffering in silence, and it doesn't help their organization, because these systems are very flexible. Global Shop has, like you said, tons of different options and ways that you can configure it to make it work for you,
Right.
while still adhering to the core principles,
Exactly.
which are designed around predicting your cost, predicting the amount of time it's going to take, and maintaining consistent quality, doing your steps in the right order the same way every time, so that
Exactly.
you can actually say, what was my plan, my estimate, what was my actual, and continuously improve as an organization.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a shame when people are quiet
Yeah.
and don't speak up.
Right.
So I'm sure you work with your organization on continuing to encourage that kind of company atmosphere.
You have to. It has to be part of the organization, the culture of the organization, to ask those questions. You always have to ask the why. We want everybody in the company asking, why are we doing this? And not in, and
Not in a why, as in, why are we doing
yeah,
this?
not to be annoying, to keep asking, but in a
Yeah.
professional manner of like, hey, and also provide a solution. What are you looking for, right? There's a way to ask a why in a company, and hey, why are we doing this? I see that I feel or I believe I have investigated. I think we can do this. That might make it an easier process within even the ERP system, right? And I think, hey, we have been utilizing this report. I think this is a really key report. And that's the kind of, that's what you want your company, your team to be able to, doesn't matter what level of the company, from the person punching into a job, right? And they can say like, hey, this is really a little difficult. Can we change this up? And then you look into the ERP system and see what the functionality is to make an improvement.
Yeah, since you are now collecting a lot of data compared to like no
Oh,
data,
Massive, yeah.
what types of business decisions have you made or has this influenced for you?
Oh, you're constantly looking at the data and these dashboards now, right? Like Global Shop came out with these really good dashboards. You can create your own dashboards around whatever you want, your data sets.
And have you done that?
We've done some, yeah, absolutely. We've done,
Really?
yeah, and it's been eye opening. And we started seeing is especially when we did cross functional process teams. Now the whole team that sees the whole function of order fulfillment, right? Again, as an example, the order fulfillment team, we can look at a dashboard and we can say as a whole team, hey, why is this order late? What have we done?
Can you describe one of those dashboards for me any way that you remember it?
Yeah, sure. There's two of them specifically that I like to look at that I think it was really good for the team. First, it was just the shipping dashboard.
Okay.
Basic shipping dashboard, but tells you green if it's on hand already, right? If you have all the components, and then we put notes on there, and we can see well ahead if something is going to be delayed. And then now that team, the order fulfillment team, can look at that every day and be like, hey, there's 4 weeks out here. What do we need to do to either jump an order ahead in our shop or call a supplier to make sure it comes in earlier? And then we also have, I think it's the MRP pick list.
Okay.
So that's really powerful because we have a lot of subcomponents. So we might have a child of a parent part, and we're manufacturing some of the components, you're buying others, and then you have to put them together, and then they sit on the shelf as a subassembly. Now the MRP pick list will tell you if it's green on the parent part, it's green if you have everything else on hand to be able to build it. So as our assembly team is looking at what their requirements are for the day or for the week to build, they can look ahead on a subassembly that didn't have visibility before, right? You can say, oh yeah, it's due this day and everything's green. Or they look ahead and be like, hey, this is red. And they can raise to the team, hey, this is red, I don't have it in, but I'm going to need it in a couple of days. Is this on track to be completed? So the team is starting to review this.
Okay.
In more detail. And again, kind of going back to AI, an agent would be phenomenal at that. That can automatically tell you, instead of someone looking at the data and looking ahead, the agent will be able to tell you that. Hey,
So you're wanting the agent to basically read the dashboards the way the human is reading the dashboard right
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
And it tell you, give you awareness of what's most important to your
exactly.
business.
Yeah, you can score what's required from a customer demand standpoint, right? What's really critical, who are your key customers that you really want to fulfill no matter what. And, and an agent should be able to do that on
It'll be your next employee, your AI agent.
It'll be probably a next employee, and it's really you want to support the human, right? You want the people to be the really high skilled set that you're utilizing, and it just supports them. It supports decision making in the company, and that's really what it's about. It's supporting that, getting the visibility earlier, helping solve problems earlier. If you have to do a root or a corrective action, you have to find a root cause. Can this AI that's tied into your ERP system and your other ecosystems, can that pull it quicker than a team of people and provide you that?
I've talked with CEOs who don't even look at their data. They depend on asking humans for their information
Yep.
all the time.
Yeah.
So in their brain, they are thinking of a big question that they have, and they give it to the people working for them. And those people go out to the dashboards and the places to find that data, that information to bring back to them. I feel like one of the promises of AI is just that now you don't have to send it out to all those people. You think of the question, you ask the question, and it goes and finds the answer for you.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking about how do I find the answer? I spend so much time looking at thinking, I've got a question. How can I find the answer? Where is that data? Which dashboard is it? What menu item is
Hey, it
it?
hasn't been updated yet. The
And
information
has it been updated
Yeah,
yet? Right.
Yeah.
And I think we're looking for speed
Yes.
and that natural conversation of let me just ask my question and it give me the answer. Why do I have to think about the how
Exactly.
and the who and how much time is it going to take? Right?
Yeah. Oh, this is, I probably drive people crazy at my place. I'll go around because I'll get an idea or I'll get a thought, because as a CEO, you're in multiple different areas. You're always reviewing different departments. And I might have an idea and go to the one person and say, hey, do you know that information? But they're busy in their work, right?
Yeah.
And can you imagine if I could just query that real quick out of my own data and get that information so I don't have to bother other people? With my random thoughts of the day. So that'd be, I'm sure they would love that too.
Your random inspiration.
That's true.
As
There
a
we go.
CEO,
That's
you
right.
have random inspiration.
Yeah.
And it would so help if you could actually feed it with real information in real time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. Instead of bothering everybody around the business.
Yeah. And that will be the cutting edge. It's speed to market. It's speed at the end of the day, which
Yeah.
is, and be nimble. I mean, you're a fairly small manufacturer. You want to be nimble
Exactly.
and quick so you can outpace the larger companies that can do massive quantities of things and, maybe other ways.
Yeah. How do we do things more accurately? How do we do things quicker? How do we do things at more efficiently? Right? That's what we want, and bring value to our customers.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
that's how do we bring the most value, and that's the way we always look at this. What does it mean for the customer? What does it mean for us? And what does it mean for the customer?
So, so you're looking at AI, and I know that, you're always thinking next step. You've also put robotics in,
Yep.
and we've had
Yeah.
some other conversations about
Exactly,
that as
yep.
well. And you're not thinking, oh, I'm too small for robotics or I'm
No.
too small for AI. I love your mindset.
You don't want to be too in the forefront. I was looking at AI a couple of years ago, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this cost is crazy. There's no way we'll get an ROI. But now it's progressed, and where it's at now, it's becoming more and more of an option for small companies like us to be able to do something with it.
Yeah. Have you already been putting data into it on your own, like into ChatGTP, asking it questions yet? Or have you been a little nervous about that because of the security? What are you
Yeah, we
thinking?
won't put any proprietary information
Okay.
in ChatGPT for that, or any other AI program, right? No, I'm pretty hesitant about that. We don't control the back end of that. If we had an enterprise-wide AI system that we have better controls, right? And there's ways to do that now, and how they do that in the data architecture, and that's what I'm learning right now. But at that point, yes, is if we have the structure in the back end. But right now, no.
You don't feel it, even though I'm sure you're paying for the pro
Yeah,
versions.
I am.
Probably not the business like $200 a month version
No,
of chat.
no,
I'm
no.
not there either.
Just my individual one for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it helps. It helps tremendously, even that on a day-to-day basis
Yeah.
as a thought partner.
It is. It does. It is my partner too. I always say my best buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
ChatGTP, help me out today.
Yeah.
Definitely as a thought partner and with recorded conversations and meetings and things like that. But boy, it is tempting. And I do know companies, customers who have taken like an export of a dashboard and they put it into ChatGTP and they've asked it to do an analysis.
Oh yeah.
Just straight from like Excel upload.
Yeah.
They basically take just a dashboard Excel version of something, and it is truly phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because it can do the analysis.
That's what's key, and things that we might miss.
Absolutely, and you can ask it that question: what am I missing here that would
Right.
have a business impact? As far as the trust factor is concerned. For me, just personally, I mean, we're going to have to trust somebody at the end of the day
Yeah.
because we don't have the technology skills,
Right.
essentially, to know what's secure and what's
No,
not
no.
secure,
That's why I
right?
need these experts, the AI engineers, the data scientists. They need to help us out on this as business owners.
I think there's going to be more certifications required in this space going forward. I mean, how are we going to know who we can trust if there isn't some sort of standards that are set? And I don't know that those standards have been created or evolved. I mean, we can't even agree as a country
Yeah.
on who should control the AI
Right.
access,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And the ethics behind AI. There's a lot of that goes into that. And are you putting your company at risk? We always have to think about that. Are we putting the company at risk by letting specific data go out to people? And we don't want to risk that right now.
Even though the reward is I might be more nimble right
Right.
now,
Right.
there's a risk and
Absolutely.
potentially associated with the reward.
Absolutely. You have to make sure it's secure no matter what with the work that we're doing.
With the work that you're doing,
Correct.
especially since you're in the government space.
Correct. Government, aerospace, really critical industries that we can't risk that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I mean, I really don't want my technology
Yeah.
here from the United States going to certain countries
Right, yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
So that and as fast as we're trying to innovate, I'm sure they're bad actors trying to figure out how to get to that information.
I'm sure of it. So we have
and
to be
use
very
it
careful. Yeah,
to
exactly.
our detriment.
Yeah. You know what our competitors do. You don't know what people do so around the world. And so we have to make sure that we're secure. And we
Yeah.
have to control what we can't control.
Yeah. And I think we've answered that question essentially for ERP, whether it's cloud or
Yeah.
whether it's on premise, we can certainly secure that data, and there seems to be a path forward for that data, in its silo to be secure,
Right, exactly.
but not in this bigger, broader category.
Exactly. Yeah, we see like Global Shop. I know I believe they're online because ours is on premise.
Okay. Yes,
So,
they are.
Yeah, right. So if you go online, I believe it's or on the cloud that it is CMMC compliant and SOC 2 Type 2, which is really important for ERP systems to have that. And that's really, really critical for manufacturing businesses and other businesses.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, they are. They're compliant, and they have to partner with other services to make sure that compliance
Exactly.
stays in place.
So that's where you need the true partners across all the ecosystems for security. You have to think of everywhere where your data is, and is it secure? And as you implement further down the line of AI or software integrations, it has to be within that, security mindset first.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole nother level because
Yeah.
now we're going to be combining all of that data into one data lake, essentially.
Right,
Right?
right.
Into one place.
Yeah. That's the way I look at it. And that's I guess, I don't know that well.
So your dream partner right now, if you could find someone who could assure you that they could get your data from your Microsoft applications, your OneDrive and your emails and that kind of thing, your HubSpot, your ERP system, which has Global Shop.
Right.
What other sources of data do you think that you need to be able to access to give your business those answers?
Right. Yeah, we're looking at integrating a certain software integration right now across multiple softwares, so we can streamline a process internally. You're going through Monday.com. You're looking through
Monday,
yeah,
okay.
Monday.com, our ERP system, right? Global Shop, HubSpot, SharePoint, and Teams, right? So you're integrating multiple different software programs. That's just software integration, right? That's not even AI. That's just the first step of integrating software. And how do you do that? So we're looking at partners. How do you integrate? And then the next step is how do you put agents in this, right? And how you create a whole AI, enterprise-wide AI system.
Okay.
So I'm looking for partners who can kind of do a lot of that. I prefer not to piecemeal things out. I want someone who knows this holistically. And might have partners that can do certain aspects of it, right? They might not be perfect software, integrate software perfectly, but they might be really good at agents, or they might be really good at the data lakes or data architecture. And we're looking for someone who can come to us holistically, be a long-term partner,
Okay.
and can help us provide those services and, really take us to the next level.
Well, I'm sure everyone in our audience has heard that, and someone's going to have an answer for you on that as to who they're using. And I would just say that to the community who's watching this today, if if you have found partners that are holistically putting that together for you, please share them in the comments. If you are that person and you're looking to work with companies like Tom, he's going to be monitoring those comments as well. So, it will be, this is definitely a space that forward thinkers like Tom is going to be are looking for the right people, and it's going to take thinking outside the box, connecting with a lot of people, and talking to our chat agent a lot. I'm afraid.
Yes, I think you're right on that. I'll be putting your proposals into ChatGPT to
Yeah,
make
there
sure
you
it is
go.
fair proposal.
Exactly. But that's still so much further along than
Yeah.
most companies that I'm talking with right now. And ERP is that foundation, though, as we were talking about earlier. If you don't have the basic in the system, and I think a lot of our audience feel like they still haven't implemented their ERP systems fully.
And neither have we. It's constantly improving, and we're constantly looking on how to make changes in our ERP system, right? And that's continuous. That doesn't go away. You can't. We made that mistake earlier. That's one mistake that we made, that we didn't invest in it,
Okay.
maybe for the 5-6 years. And we said, hey, it's not quite working for us. People are getting really frustrated, even though they're bringing up the questions and the concerns of what's going on. But then you start realizing, like, oh, you really have to reach out to them. They have to be they're your consultancy as well, right? The ERP system, the companies, right? Like Global Shop. You have to go to them. I'm looking to do this, and they'll support that. There's always a cost. It's never free.
Right.
So, but you have to be, as a CEO or as an organization, you have to say, okay, I'm going to invest X amount every year into our ERP to make improvements on it. I think that just has to be a line item on your budget. Recently we spent quite a bit on how do we do it in assembly. We tagged everything we barcoded everything so we can scan. So we have our material traceability at the time of assembly. The guys can
Nice.
scan in so that we have a lot less mistakes. Not that we had a lot before,
Yeah.
but you reduce the amount of errors, right? They have their gun, they scan, and goes, yep, that's the right product on that bomb. Right? If it's not, if you go scan the wrong one,
It doesn't
beep,
work.
beep, beep, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So, but that takes investment. That takes buying, it takes investment, and it takes, months and months of implementation. So people they have to understand part of the ERP improvement is that you have to continuously invest in it. And that was a lesson probably the biggest lesson that I learned over the years.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that QuickBooks and some of the older systems sort of gave the impression that you just buy a software, you implement it once, and it's a one and done.
Yeah, that's how we thought of it at first,
I think
right?
a lot of manufacturers are sitting right where you are there today, where they haven't been realized that they needed to continuously improve and train. And the other thing I liked about what you said is this concept of printing barcode labels and identifying things on the floor and using scanners. I go to a lot of plants. I went to 22 manufacturers last year where I did process audits for Global Shop.
Yeah, wow,
So,
that's a lot.
Yes,
You
that
can
was
see
just
a lot of
last
unique
year.
things too. Yeah,
I see a lot of
Yeah.
things. And one of the things that I probably only see in about 20% of the companies is the use of physical labeling that shows the transactions that goes with the processes.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you do a transaction like a PO receipt, a label should print.
Yep.
You should have a barcode,
Exactly.
and that should follow that actual material. So you have physical labels that go with product. And
Yeah.
when a new transaction occurs, a new label prints.
Exactly.
And so often, like I said, most companies, maybe 80% of them, don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't have the physical reality match their ERP reality.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because they're supposed to parallel each other, right?
They should. They better.
They should.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it feel to walk out in your company now and be able to identify everything physically, where it is, where it came from?
Yeah. And the location is correct. So if it's like, hey, where is that again? Hey, have we looked at the bin location in the ERP system. Oh yeah, you're right. And there it is.
And there it
And
is.
there it is. Yeah. So that was something we implemented like 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Even transactional accounting. So we know to the penny our real inventory, and then, how it's every part, the material traceability, and lot by lot on every job that goes out. So
Lot by lot on every job.
yeah, lot by lot traceability completely.
That's a level of detail that is absolutely necessary in your industry.
Absolutely.
But a lot of companies still just don't seem to get there.
Yeah, it was manually before. And
Yeah.
now we put it into our ERP system. So it's been a 9-day difference.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm excited to hear you did that. I think I visited your plant quite a while ago, and it was before you had done that.
Right.
And I remember walking around and nothing was identified.
Right.
And yeah, what a huge jump.
Right. Yeah. So we would have everything green tagged and everything's controlled, but did it match exactly into the ERP system? Right. That's what you'd have to still do a manual check on something, and that was the problem. Now you can really trust that ERP data because we've implemented it all, continuously implemented different aspects of it. Right. So now you can go to ERP. Yep. 5 parts there, 4 parts
matches.
there, and it matches. And then if it doesn't, hey, what happened? And it throws a red flag right away, so you can go into your inventory history. What happened with it? Did we maybe receive it incorrectly?
Yeah.
The wrong quantities or something like that. So you can really follow it through to a level of detail that wasn't available before. And then you're finding your root cause, and you're doing a real corrective action for that process. You're making, improvements all the time, so issues don't happen as often.
Yeah. What do you see as your next thing AI obviously is top of mind. Are there any other things within the ERP that you're expecting you want to do better within your ERP?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been thinking about this quite a bit. As we've moved into these process-oriented teams, we're trying to see how can we utilize, cross-functional requirements in the ERP system. I don't quite know how that might look, but some of these dashboards are more towards order fulfillment as a whole, maybe some more information that the whole team can see instead of just the shipping dashboard that we talked about earlier. Is there something else maybe the buyer needs to see as well? Is there something that the assembly team needs to see? So it's how do we create these cross-functional.
Now, you haven't mentioned scheduling. Are you using APS, Advanced Planning and Scheduling?
We've been moving into that slowly. So that is actually one of our rocks for this quarter.
Okay.
Is to finalize APS scheduling.
Yeah.
So the back end has been, hey, because we have hundreds of SKUs, thousands, right, that go through the shop. So before we identified implementing APS or the what is it?
Advanced Planning and Scheduling.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I knew you would know that. That's right up your alley. So we needed to make sure our routers were correct. So we're looking at our routers. People are still punching into the jobs. Our manufacturing manager every week is looking at our actual versus estimates on it.
Good.
Yeah, so we wanted to do that first before we did the scheduling because we just want to throw scheduling up there and it's crazy. So let's make sure our routers are correct. Let's take the time, the year and a half of continuously looking at that, updating the existing routers at the right times.
Yep.
Now when we implement APS, it's going to be, 70% there.
You're taking the right approach. A lot of companies try to rush ahead to the advanced planning and scheduling, but the word advanced literally means, is my router correct?
Right.
Is my capacity set up on my work centers
Exactly.
correctly? And is the way that I'm set up a reflection of how my team actually works
Right.
in terms of the employee constraint piece of that? And it truly is an output, and you have to have the inputs correct before the output even means anything at all.
Right. And that's why I identified, because remember, we had like 10 years of not doing it. So now you have these routers, maybe the times weren't correct when we implemented them 10 years ago. So a lot of things have changed. Better machinery, right? We've spent millions of dollars in new machinery, so new processes, different times on the router. So that's what we decided to do is take our time and make sure the routers are correct and then.
All right. But it's one of those rocks, so you see it on the horizon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so what that's going to do is it's going to look at the capacity that you have in your system, what those plans are, and it's going to fill the capacity in according to an order of priority, which is going to be the priority that the system and that you'll understand the priority. It'll make sense and optimize how much you can get through the floor at the right things at the right times.
Exactly. Do we need to adjust a work center to meet the demand or... Yeah, so that's what we're looking at.
I have seen it seems like that's the number one question when I talk to manufacturers who are early in their process. They feel like they can't predict the future very well. They can't predict their lead times. They can't predict out. And this is where a lot of people are looking to ERPs to help them. I mean,
Absolutely. It's key.
this is what it's for.
Right. So now it's a manual capacity planning, and then we want it to be in the ERP system because it is so critical.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. And then the other evolution that I'm seeing is in terms of using of the data is there are more and more types of dashboards and ways to view the data today than there used to be.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
From 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even, big improvements.
Big improvement, so much more customizable. I don't know if you have a chance, but take a look at the dashboard designer.
Yes, so we have to train somebody internally for that. That's
Yes.
that's one of the downfalls of having an ERP system is who are the internal champions of it. We're small businesses. We have limited resources. Who else wants to take on that hat of, hey, I really want to do this design, this dashboard designing, or, you have to find the right people in the organization who want to take that on and be the champion.
You do. And I'm glad you brought that up. The champion in your company is critical to your success.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
Having those champions. And it'd be nice to have one in, someone on the side of purchasing, someone in manufacturing, someone in sales. It'd be nice to have 3 of them.
Sure,
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
But if you can find one that can embrace the whole system and help you to continue to drive forward that continuous improvement, that's going to make all the difference in the world.
It's really critical for the company, for the ERP system to continuously be utilized in the way it should be, and the improvements. You need that champion. Yeah, that'd be ideal if it was all the functional
Wouldn't that be
leaders.
nice?
Well, that would be, but that's not reality.
Yeah,
We don't all love ERP systems and these kind of things, and looking at the bigger picture of, and having your antennas up on the changes, because there are changes all the time, right? There are improvements. So who's driving that? And, maybe it's a committee or something internally that... and then shares that information.
Do you have a user group or any kind of, how do you work with your team on terms of ERP changes?
There's a small group of us that, when there's an update or something, we'll identify where the changes might be.
Okay.
But it's definitely a process that can be improved internally. I mentioned 2 seconds ago, like, maybe we should make a committee. I thought about that as I said, I'm like, a committee would be a good idea.
That's part of why we're having this conversation. I'm
going to go back and be like, okay, during our L10 next week, one of our issues will be how to create an ERP committee.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's the continuous improvement piece of this. And it's these kind of conversations that generate the thinking that goes into, what you're going to do next.
Exactly.
To make your company better.
Yeah. You have to have this kind of dialogue and these kind of discussions, and ideas come up from it, and you go back and, you make some changes, or you make, give it to the team and see what they think and go from there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And you are definitely cutting edge in your thinking already, I will tell you. And as far as smaller companies are concerned and going forward with things. And I'm very excited to see what the future will bring. In fact, I'd love to bring you back again for another one of these interviews and discussions, say in another 6 or 8 months.
Sure.
And see where you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see who you've started to partner with and where you are in your AI development in terms of its use at your organization. And if you've solved the security problem, I mean, just think 6 months from now, I'm hoping that you're going to have that problem solved and that you're going to be on your way to a better use case, within your organization.
Yeah, I'm actually starting up this week, I believe it starts, a certificate at Kellogg at Northwestern for agentic and Gen AI implementation for organizations. So
it's a course that you're going to take?
It's a course. Yeah, it's a certificate. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm going to have to write that one down now because...
all these schools now, MIT, I think University of Chicago, Northwestern, they all have these programs that are made for leaders to teach us how this can be implemented. For AI, agentic AI, Gen AI, how can that be? How do you create these strategies for a whole enterprise? I can tell you in 8 weeks, hopefully.
Good for you. Good for you. Taking the time out of your busy schedule running a company to learn something new.
Hopefully it takes us to the next level.
Yep. Yeah.
as an organization.
You just can't delegate everything, can you, Tom?
I wish.
Learning is something you're going to have to just do.
You need to. I'm the CEO. I drive the direction of the company and the vision. So, part of my critical job for the company is to know what's going on out there and how can we implement these changes to make improvements. And at the end of the day, it's for our customers and our employees and all the stakeholders that are around ErgoSeal, and how do we improve their lives, and how do we make something that's really valuable for people.
Yeah. Well, you're well on your way to doing that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
me today.
Yeah, I
This
really
has
appreciate
been
it.
a fantastic conversation. I know that a lot of other manufacturers are just going to resonate with where you are right now because they're wanting to be where you are. Honestly, they're wanting to be where you are.
And I look at other people and I see where they are, and I want to be there. So we're constantly
The bar keeps on moving.
we're all a bit competitive, so
But,
we want to make the improvements.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I look forward to reconnecting with you in another 6 or 8 months, seeing how you've solved some of these problems. And also, I look forward to seeing the comments from this video and hearing how people got suggestions to help you with that.
Yeah, I really look forward to that too. And thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate it.